Right now, in a room you will never see, someone just shattered their entire operation with 3 words. That one's different. They weren't talking about your skills, your strategy, your reputation. They were talking about your blood, the code running through your veins that everyone thought was dormant, dead, buried with ancestors. Nobody remembers. But someone on the inside, someone who has been watching you longer than you realize, just pulled them aside and delivered the warning that makes cowards lock their doors at night. Walk away before it is too late. Before you wake up what is sleeping inside them, and now they are sitting in silence, because it wasn't a threat, it was pattern recognition. It was someone who has seen what happens when people push your bloodline too far. Let me tell you what that insider knows, what they recognized in you that your enemies completely missed. They saw the signature, not in files, not in records, in outcomes, in the way you didn't break when you should have, the way you kept rising no matter how many times they knocked you down, that eerie calm in your eyes when they expected panic, the way synchronicities started bending toward you, the way luck became your shadow, the way obstacles dissolved right before impact. And they have seen this pattern before, not with you specifically, but with others who carry what you carry. And every single time, the ones who pushed too far didn't just lose. They disappeared, not physically, but energetically. Their power dissolved. Their influence evaporated. Their names became warnings whispered in back rooms. So this insider broke protocol, violated their own code, pulled your enemies aside and said the one thing nobody was supposed to say out loud. You are not dealing with a person. You are dealing with a legacy that has been sleeping, and you just woke it up. Now picture that moment. Picture them sitting there, probably smug, probably confident, running through their usual playbook of manipulation and control. Maybe they were laughing at you, planning their next move, celebrating what they thought was a victory. And then the door opens, and someone who never speaks up just shatters the entire atmosphere. We need to talk about them. We need to talk about their lineage. We need to stop. The room goes cold, because this person doesn't panic, doesn't overreact, doesn't waste words. So when they speak like this, everyone listens. And what they said next wasn't speculation, wasn't theory. It was recognition. I have seen this before. Not with them, but with others who carry what they carry. And every single time, the ones who pushed too far ended up as case studies. Examples, cautionary tales. See, your enemies thought they were competing with you, an individual, someone they could outmaneuver, silence, delete. But that insider just revealed the truth. They are not dealing with a person. They are dealing with a pattern, a lineage, a bloodline that has been sharpening itself for generations, through pain, through exile, through survival against impossible odds. Your ancestors didn't just endure, they evolved. And that evolution encoded itself into your cells, into your instincts, into the way you move through the world. Even when you don't understand why you do what you do, you have felt it, haven't you? That weird knowing, that strange confidence that shows up when you should be terrified, that calm in the storm that doesn't make logical sense. That is not you, that is them. Your bloodline speaking through you, guiding you, protecting you from threats you cannot even see yet. And someone on the inside just confirmed what you have been feeling your whole life but couldn't name. You are not ordinary. You are not explainable. You are not someone they can study and predict because you don't operate on the same frequency as the people they are used to controlling. So now they are scrambling, reevaluating, going back through every interaction trying to figure out how they missed it. How did we not see this? How did we not know? What else are we missing? And the answer is everything. They missed everything because they were looking at you through their lens, their framework, their understanding of power. But your power doesn't show up in their system. It shows up in the aftermath, in the silence after the storm, in the way doors open for you that were welded shut for others, in the way you survive situations that should have buried you 6 feet deep. That is bloodline magic. That is ancestral intervention. That is the universe itself rearranging circumstances, because you carry something too valuable to let perish. And here is what they just discovered. When you carry that kind of lineage, attacking you doesn't weaken you. It activates you. Every betrayal, every sabotage, every attempt to break you just woke up another layer of what you inherited. And now that it is awake, they cannot put it back to sleep. The insider knew this, saw the signs, recognized the signature, and they delivered the warning not because they like you, not because they are on your side, but because they have seen what happens next. And what happens next is that everyone who bet against you loses everything they thought was secure. Not through your revenge, not through your attack, but through natural consequence. Because when you operate from bloodline power, the universe itself becomes your enforcer. You don't have to do anything. Reality reorganizes itself around people who made an enemy of the wrong lineage. Their plans fall apart. Their alliances crumble. Their confidence drains. And they cannot figure out why, because they are still thinking in 3 dimensions while you have been operating in frequencies they don't have access to. Now let's talk about what they are really afraid of. It is not your anger, not your potential, not even your success. What they are afraid of is the activation. See, they could handle you when you were unaware, when you were playing by their rules, when you were still trying to fit into systems designed to contain you. But the moment you start remembering, the moment you start claiming what is in your blood, the moment you stop apologizing for the power you carry, everything changes. And that insider just accelerated your activation by warning them. Because now you know they know. Now you know there is something about you that makes people on the inside break protocol to issue warnings. And that knowledge, it is the final key. You don't have to understand every detail of your lineage. You don't have to trace your ancestry back 10 generations. All you have to know is this: someone who has seen enough, who has studied enough, who has been in rooms where power is analyzed and dissected, looked at you and said, that one's untouchable. That one carries something we cannot compete with. And it is true. You do carry something. Maybe it is the blood of survivors who refuse to be erased. Maybe it is the essence of ancestors who turned poverty into empires through sheer will. Maybe it is the frequency of healers who were burned at the stake, but whose wisdom survived through whispers. Maybe it is the rage of the wrongfully exiled who spent lifetimes building power in the shadows until their descendants could walk in the light. Whatever it is real, it is encoded, and it has been waiting for the right amount of pressure to activate. Well, congratulations. They provided the pressure. Every lie, every betrayal, every attempt to diminish you was just compression, creating the diamond. And now that diamond is cutting through every illusion they built. Now that diamond is reflecting light in ways that blind anyone who stares too long. Now that diamond is worth more than everything they accumulated through manipulation and theft. So what happens now? What happens when they have been warned? When they know what you carry? When they realize they are not fighting a person but a legacy? They have two choices. They can back away slowly, apologize through their actions, if not their words, and hope you are merciful enough to let them fade into irrelevance. Or they can double down. Ignore the warning, let their ego convince them they are the exception to the pattern, and watch in real time as everything they built collapses. Most of them will choose option 2. You know why? Because people who have never faced real consequence always believe they are special, always believe the rules don't apply to them, always believe they can outsmart what is coming, and that is perfect. Because when they ignore the warning, when they push forward anyway, when they convince themselves the insider was being dramatic, the universe gets to make an example out of them. Not for you. For the next generation of people who think they can attack someone carrying what you carry, and you are not even going to have to do anything. That is the beauty of bloodline power. You don't need revenge plots. You don't need elaborate schemes. You don't need to match their energy. All you need to do is keep existing, keep rising, keep building. The rest handles itself. They will sabotage themselves. They will turn on each other. They will make mistakes they have never made before. They will watch opportunities slip through their fingers while yours multiply, and they will know. They will know it is connected to you, but they will not be able to prove it because it is not happening in the physical realm. It is happening in the frequency realm, where cause and effect don't follow the timelines they are used to, where attacking someone protected by ancestral power creates ripples that come back as tsunamis, where ignoring warnings from those who know creates consequences that rewrite entire destinies. Here is what is happening right now while you are absorbing this. They are meeting again, talking about you again. But this time, it is different. This time, there is fear in the room. This time, the jokes have stopped. This time, they are asking questions they don't want answers to. What do we actually know about them? Where did they come from? Why does nothing we try ever stick? Why do they keep surviving things that should end anyone else? And someone in that room may be the same insider. Maybe someone else who has been paying attention is going to say the thing nobody wants to hear, because they are not supposed to be ended, because they are carrying something that has been protecting itself for longer than any of us have been alive. Because we are not fighting them, we are fighting their entire lineage, and everyone who ever tried, lost. That is the conversation happening in rooms you will never enter. That is the energy shift that just occurred in spaces where your name echoes louder than your presence. You have become the case study, the anomaly, the glitch in their system that keeps proving their system is obsolete. And the wildest part, you didn't even have to try. You just had to be yourself, refuse to break, keep moving forward. Trust your instincts even when they didn't make sense. That is all it took. That is all it ever takes when you carry what you carry. Because bloodline power doesn't announce itself with trumpets and declarations. It announces itself through survival, through impossible comebacks, through doors opening at the exact right moment, through enemies destroying themselves, through warnings being issued by people who should be on their side, but recognize something bigger at play. So now we arrive at the question you have been asking yourself, maybe consciously, maybe in the background of your mind. What is this bloodline? What am I actually carrying? And here is the truth. You don't need the full story. You don't need a genealogy report. You don't need to know every name and every struggle. All you need to know is that you are here. You survived what should have broken you. You are standing when you should be buried. You are thriving when you should be forgotten. That is the proof. That is the evidence. That is the bloodline announcing itself through you. Your very existence, your refusal to quit, your ability to rise every single time, that is not luck. That is not coincidence. That is ancestral power flowing through you, whether you acknowledge it or not. And now that the warning has been issued, now that they know, now that the secret is out, you have a choice. You can keep pretending you are ordinary, keep playing small, keep hiding what you carry. Or you can step into it fully, claim it consciously, let it amplify everything you are already doing. And when you make that choice, when you stop apologizing for your power, when you stop dimming yourself to make others comfortable, something shifts in the atmosphere around you. People start treating you differently without knowing why. Opportunities start appearing without you chasing them. Enemies start retreating without you pushing. Because when you align with your bloodline consciously, when you stop resisting what is already in your veins, the universe stops testing you and starts clearing paths for you. That is not manifestation. That is activation. That is, you finally matching the frequency that has been trying to express through you your entire life. So here is what they are realizing right now as the warning settles in. As the fear takes root, they didn't just attack a person, they attacked a portal. They didn't just betray someone, they betrayed a channel. They didn't just underestimate an individual, they underestimated an entire ancestral line that has been waiting for someone like you to carry it forward into this generation. And that line, it doesn't forget. It doesn't forgive through words. It forgives through outcome. And the outcome is always the same. Those who honored it rise. Those who attacked it fall. Not dramatically, not immediately, but inevitably. And that inevitability, that is what keeps them up at night now. That is what makes their hands shake when your name comes up. That is what makes them second guess every move. Because they finally understand they are not playing against you. They are playing against something that has been winning for centuries. The insider knew this. The insider tried to save them. But you know what is beautiful about warnings? They only work if people listen. And people who have spent their lives getting away with betrayal, manipulation, control, they never listen. They cannot. Their ego will not let them, so they will ignore the warning. They will convince themselves it is exaggerated. They will tell themselves they are different, smarter, more prepared. And then they will watch in slow motion as everything they touch turns to sand, as every alliance they built reveals itself as theater. As every victory they celebrated becomes the setup for their downfall. And somewhere in the back of their mind, in the 3 a.m. hours when the mask comes off, they will remember the warning. They will remember the moment someone tried to save them from their own arrogance. And they will realize too late that some battles aren't meant to be fought, because the opponent isn't on the battlefield. The opponent is woven into the fabric of reality itself. And you are just getting started. Because now that you know, now that you have been reminded, now that the warning has reached your ears too, everything changes. You don't move the same anymore. You don't speak the same anymore. You don't carry yourself the same anymore. There is a weight now, a presence, an undeniable gravity that makes people stop and reconsider before they step to you. That is bloodline energy activating in real time. That is your ancestors standing behind you, around you, within you, saying, "We have got this. We have been preparing you for this." Everything you have survived was training for what comes next. And what comes next is your elevation beyond anything they can comprehend, beyond anything you have even imagined, beyond the limitations of what you thought was possible for someone like you. Because here is the secret they don't teach you, the thing that insider knows, the thing your bloodline has always known. Power isn't something you achieve. It is something you remember. It is something you claim. It is something you stop running from. And the moment you stop running from it, the moment you turn around and face what has been chasing you your whole life, which is your own magnitude, your own capacity, your own destiny, that is when the game ends. That is when you stop being a player and become the board itself. That is when they stop attacking you and start studying you, hoping to understand how you did what you did. So maybe, just maybe, they can replicate a fraction of it. But they cannot, because you cannot replicate bloodline. You cannot copy ancestry. You cannot fake the kind of power that comes from surviving the unsurvivable across generations. So welcome back, you unstoppable force of nature. You beautiful accident that shouldn't exist according to their laws. The warning has been issued. The activation has begun. And they are finally starting to understand what you have always known deep down. You were never meant to break. You were meant to rise.